Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Heelcast. I am Mike Larkin. Joining me today is one of my dear friends of over 6 years in the podcasting game. He's like a mini podcast machine in his own right. He does a plethora as far as the podcasting side of things go. It's my buddy, the Money Maker, Mr. Chris Durham. Chris, welcome to the Heelcast.
Hey, glad to be here, man. Glad to be here. Talk some wrestling, my friend.
Dude, we've been doing this on and off for 6 years, you and I talking wrestling, whether it be in front of the microphone or off the microphone, man. It's what we do. It's what we love. It's what we're passionate about, right?
It is. It's crazy. It's been 6 years. That's just crazy how time flies when you're having fun, my friend.
Right. And I mean, I think what's great about it to you now, and we'll talk about this at the end, but Chris has been doing some interviews as well. So I got to say, getting on the interview front as well, you're killing it, dude.
Thank you. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm inspired by you, man. I've seen you doing all these interviews and over the years. So I said, hey, why not me? Why not give it a shot? So far, I've got to interview Angelina. I'm supposed to be interviewing Angelina Love. Actually, I'm trying to figure out a date when we're going to set that up. I've interviewed Amber Nova. That was my first interview last year. And Action Braxton was the interview that I got to do this year. So that was really cool getting to interview him.
I got to say, Chris is really starting to interview a lot of people that we've seen in the business and on the independent scene, which I'll say this as anyone who's interviewed a lot of people as myself. Sometimes, whether it's indie or what have you, everybody has a story to tell, and that's why we give them the platform. So you're doing a lot of great work, and like I said, we'll plug more at the end. But Chris, I got to give you major props because you're really hustling on the interview front.
Thank you, man. I'm just going to keep at it. I'm going to keep trying to do as many as I possibly can, man. I'm enjoying it. It's fun.
I was about to say, man, if you start going into the adult line of work and doing what I do there, I'm about to say, man, I might have to slow you down a little on that, man. You're trying That's still my gimmick, brother.
Exactly. And what's crazy, too, I've had people that are not even, like, wrestling fans that have listened to some of my interviews and just like, oh, like the Amber Nova one. I had one of my coworkers listen to it. She's not even a wrestling fan. She's like, oh, she was so inspired by her story. That's what really, gets to me. Right. Somebody that's not even a wrestling fan that can listen to that interview and appreciate it as well. That's one of the things that really gets to me, which I think is really cool.
Well, yeah, that's the experience, dude. Just whatever you're doing, your line of work, and they don't even have to be a fan. It's just listening to a person's story and how it resonates and generates. What I've always found is the gift. I mean, it's great if people who are fans and supporters and friends, but if a parent of the talent listens and they thank you for what you're doing, that is the most rewarding right there. So I hear you. It's another level. I'm talking like Blackstreet, man. No diggity, no doubt. It's
no diggity, no doubt, man. No diggity.
Oh my goodness. Well, let me tell you something that is no diggity, no doubt, and there is no doubt about it. Unfortunately, as we talk about this news here, man, Big E was in a match tonight. It was a New Day against Sheamus and Ridge Holland, and we'll get to Pete Dunne in a second, or should I say Butch. But my God, man, Ridge Holland belly-to-belly suplex, poor Big E, landed on his dome piece, and we have now found out that Big E has a broken neck. And at the time, too, it's WrestleMania season, Chris.
That's so unfortunate. Right during WrestleMania season, we've seen people like Edge, Austin, different ones have neck injuries over the years. So hopefully it's nothing that's like a long-term thing, but that can be tricky. Neck injuries can be very, very, very tricky. So hopefully this isn't like a long-term thing for him. Hopefully he can make a full recovery from this.
Right. I mean, we've seen people like Edge, Stone Cold, Lita, Kurt Angle, a lot of greats go through the neck surgeries and the neck injuries. And I mean, it's nagging, but when it happens to you like that, and it depends on the severity of the injury. Will it be out weeks, months, we don't know. We just know he has a broken neck. And dude, this is Ridge Holland again. This poor guy, in a way, in his own right, has his nose broken accidentally by Ricochet. And now he's hurting one of the biggest stars, and mind you, accidentally, but still, like Ridge Holland, my God, man.
Can't catch a break, my dude. Can't catch a break. But like I said, just wishing all the best for Big E, man. Just hopefully he'll be able to make a full recovery from this.
Of course, and you hate to see anyone go down with an injury. And I mean, I look at it from a stance too as well. We look at what we got going on with Pete Dunne. We're going to talk about this Butch thing. Okay, so he's on SmackDown. He's with Sheamus and Ridge Holland, which looks to be cool. And this is what kind of like sidelines, because I'm thinking, okay, they're going to set up the New Day against the three of them at Mania. But with all this going on, and now he's Butch, not the Bruiserweight anymore. We are Butch. Chris, thoughts on the names? I see you shaking your head.
Like, why? I mean, if you want to change his name, if you want to just call him Pete, cool. Just call him Dunne, cool. Come up with something like Butch. He's the last person that you look at. If you know Pete Dunne, he's not a Butch dude. Trust me, he's not. He may butcher some people, but he's not a Butch, my friend.
Yeah. Well, somebody said he kind of looked like a version of Oliver Twist. I'm like, please, sir. Well,
I can definitely see
it. But
yes.
I was thinking from a stance like we're joking about it, and I know people will go off the rails about this because they did the same thing. Now that Walter is he's Gunther in NXT, which we'll get to NXT in a bit. But still, dude, it's like you have to look at it from a stance too as well. Piper Niven, we were so upset that she was Doudrop, but she's gotten that to work, and she's gotten to wrestle Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble. She's gotten to wrestle, in Saudi Arabia, right? She's still doing the work as Doudrop, but at the same time, it's like you give me a name, see how it resonates and generates, you make the most of it, and you're on TV. You were on TV.
That's the most important thing. It may not be the best name, Doudrop or Gunther or any of these other names, but you make the most of it. You're getting the TV time. You're getting to be on Raw, SmackDown. You just make the most of it, man. That's what you got to do.
Anything in life is truly an art form, right? This is how I look at it from a stance. Whatever you do in life, it's an art form. We're all just here to apply our crafts, right?
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely.
And that's the thing, too. Like, I look at it from a name standpoint. Like, being a TNA fan, and this also coincides with you because I know how big of an NWA fan you are. Former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Trevor Murdoch finally won the big one, and now Cardona is the NWA champion, right? Trevor Murdoch, when he was in the WWE, towards the end, he was singing "I Got Friends in Low Places." He was singing at the end before he got signed to TNA briefly. He was Jethro Holiday in TNA. Now, if he could survive Jethro Holiday, I think anybody can survive anything, right? Jethro Holiday.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Definitely.
I look at it from a stance too as well. Like, I mean, for God's sake, the Repo Man. You know what I'm saying? He fucking formerly, what was it, Acts of Demolition, and then he's Mr. Yeah. Like, if you could survive that, and the Repo Man is one of the most, notorious from nostalgia gimmicks wise. It's comedy, but it's stuck, right?
Yeah, very true. Very, very true.
And I also, what's great about it too is, I mean, we're talking about the names and stuff. Well, I think what a lot of people need to realize in wrestling as well, the fans have got to stop shaming other fans for what they like, because this also ties and coincides with everything. You have to stop shaming people. If they like WWE, let them like it. If they like AEW, let them like it. We are in a time and we are in a day and age where everybody has to shame everybody for what they like, especially with the two big ones like WWE, AEW. Just enjoy what you enjoy. I mean, we talk about this constantly, but it's like, why do we need to get into a war over this?
We really don't. And I was talking to one of my other friends about this too. Why are we shaming wrestling fans? At the end of the day, we all love wrestling. Whether you love WWE, NWA, AEW, New Japan, whatever it is, we're all wrestling fans at the end of the day. So why we have to pick sides? And there's so much out there right now. There's so much content out there. You can find something that you like, and if you don't like it, don't watch. Just simple as that.
That's the thing too, and I also look at it from a stance too as well. Some of these people, and we'll get to NXT in a second here, but a lot of people don't watch the product and they just make automatic assumptions. Mind you, pessimistic about something, but if you actually watch it, then actually form an opinion instead of shaming it, right?
Because a lot of people are not watching this stuff and just formulating opinions and going with the flow, going what they hear on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that, without actually taking the time to actually watch the product, which is crazy.
And I'm sorry, but watching YouTube highlights doesn't make you want to say, "Oh, I want to watch this." Watching a minute clip doesn't make you have
No. You can't. No, you can't do that. You have to actually watch the shows. Watch Raw, SmackDown, Impact, Power. You got to actually watch these shows because the clips they'll give you a little gist of what's going on, but you can't get a whole grasp of everything just watching some brief clips on YouTube. You can't, man.
You can't. And what I also do like about it too, we'll just jump in NXT here, man, because you and I go all over the place. And if you us talking, we'll be here all day, folks.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing, man. With NXT, I was at first pessimistic about what they're doing with the 2.0 brand, but then I started to understand it. What they're doing is, and for those who haven't seen it, picture it like FCW in 2012, before it migrated over to NXT, where Dusty Rhodes was the GM, and we saw guys like Seth Rollins come in. We saw Richie Steamboat. We saw Bo Dallas. We saw Big E doing the 5 count, right? That's what we're going back to. All right? That's what we're doing, and that's not a bad thing, because if you actually look at it and equate it to stuff, Tony Khan will say like, "Oh, we're not WCW," but Eric Bischoff will pointedly point out, "You're doing a lot of the same stuff I used to WCW, like putting in all the WWE people over and stuff like that. It will also maintaining your stars. It's very similar to WCW, and if you actually look at the roster gap and what we have now, AEW is like NXT 1.0, if you want to say, right, Chris? There's a lot of the NXT people over there now.
A lot of the NXT people are over there now. Aleister Black, Keith Lee, Ruby. I mean, the list goes on of people that used to be in NXT.
And this is the issue, man. And we've used this term, lost in the shuffle. Like you mentioned a great name, Ruby. Ruby Soho. Ruby Riott, when she was in NXT, loved her. Riott Squad, talent. Unfortunately, she didn't get to showcase it a lot. But I will say this. She did get to have a match with Ronda Rousey, which was pretty cool, right? She's had moments. They've been there. She's worked her butt off, her and Liv Morgan. But the problem is you have this destination. She put all this time and effort to it. I was excited. Everybody was excited, right? She comes into AEW, gets the shot against Britt Baker. What the hell has she done since? Nothing.
Nothing, dude.
Nothing
at all. She was on Dark this week. She was teaming with AQA on Dark. It was a good match, but she's on freaking Dark. Like, Ruby Soho.
And the thing, too, is I love Heidi Lovelace because, I mean, from her work on Shine and the independent scene, which you've seen as well, Chris. Mm-hmm. But the thing, too, dude, is, like, I guess she was in the TBS tournament and she did the stuff with Nyla Rose and all that. But after the TBS tournament, when's the last time you saw her? Again, I equate it with Jay Lethal. You bring in Jay Lethal, who has beaten Kurt Angle in TNA, who is former Ring of Honor champion, who's been all over the place, and he comes in, has the match with Guevara, then he's on Dark, has the match with Ricky Starks, which I'm going to say right now. I know it's the FTW title, and it's very origins of the original ECW, but the title is not sanctioned, and it's not really a title, so you can't argue with me on this. Goes against Ricky Starks. Nothing. I'm just going to say nothing. You've done nothing with Jay Lethal.
Like, how do you bring in a guy like Jay Lethal, a former world champion, and not do anything? I think he was on Dark this week, too. I'm like... That just blows my mind, man. That makes no sense whatsoever. Now, maybe, since they've purchased Ring of Honor, maybe they might have him do something with the Ring of Honor brand. But other than that, it's just like you're wasting this dude's talent. He should not be a guy that's on Dark. No.
Well, it reminds me what they're doing with Keith Lee. Like tonight, he's wrestling QT Marshall, and then he's wrestling JD Drake last week. And I'm like, you should, if you're going to build Keith Lee in like to a prominent position as Tony Khan was, he doesn't want to make the same mistakes. He should not be doing these matches. I'm sorry, but you should have a definitive feud for him. You could put him right in the mix for the TNT title. You need to do something with Keith Lee. If you want to undo the mistakes, quote unquote, that Vince McMahon did, I will say this right now with Keith Lee, and this goes with Cody Rhodes, and we'll get to that soon. But Keith Lee really didn't have that bad of a run. It's unfortunate he got sick, mind you. It's really unfortunate he got sick, and thankfully, thoughts and prayers, he's still with us. But he really didn't have a bad run there. I'm sorry, but he really didn't. Like the face-off at Roman Reigns, the face-off with Brock Lesnar in the Rumble. He beat Randy Orton on pay-per-view. He was in the mix for the U.S. title. It wasn't that bad of a run.
It really wasn't. It may not have been the stuff that he was doing in NXT, but his run was not that bad compared to some other people that have been called up. His run was not that bad. It really wasn't. I mean, I would have liked to have seen some more, but it really wasn't if you really break it down and think about it.
And I mean, they tried with the Bearcat stuff, and I mean, you could tell he was uncomfortable with it. But I'm just like, you're throwing stuff up against the wall and see if it sticks. But at the same time, it's a business. You know what I'm saying? If they feel he's unperforming or he's not performing up to his standards, then that'll happen. And I don't think it has anything to do with him being sick. But if you come back and you're not, it's a business.
Absolutely, it's all a business at the end of the day, man. Always a business first.
Well, that's the thing, too. And I mean, we'll bounce it around again, but Vince McMahon on Pat McAfee, that was a great interview. It humanized.
Oh, I enjoyed that.
It was good. Like, you made you like Vince even more. It humanized him. It showcased. And like he said, if you underperform, then it's just business. You know what I'm saying? That's how he comes off. Unlike Tony Khan. Guys, I got this big announcement. 20 years ago, a product launched. I bought Ring of Honor. That's the difference between Vince McMahon and Tony Khan. Well, from business standpoint, and this like Vince talking like that, then I just bought Ring of Honor. Guys, big news. Like
he's like a kid in a candy shop, man. He really is. He really, really is a lot of the times. And I have no issues with him, but some of the decision steps he makes, you see like there's still a lot of room for him to grow.
Right.
In that position.
He comes off like Veruca Salt and friggin' Willy Wonka. Don't care how I want it now. I want to buy Ring of Honor. That's the problem. He comes off like he's getting the golden ticket.
He's like a mark, man. He's like a total big time mark.
And he is. That's the problem. And I know I know he's relatively new to the game, but still, man, I know he appreciates and loves and respects professional wrestling. But I look at it and I'm like, oh, Tony. When Vince McMahon announced Mike Tyson as the baddest man on the planet, you were hyped for WrestleMania 14. When Eric Bischoff was like, I'm going to introduce to you the coolest guy that ever walked the face of the planet Earth, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, you were thrilled. Tony Khan, I just bought Ring of Honor. Just like, no. And he's talking about, well, you were there too, my man. You were there too. Bryan Danielson versus Christopher Daniels. Like, there was a way of going about it. Like, you saw the press release that was so well written. It was beautiful, that he bought Ring of Honor. And then he gets on TV and he acts like a fucking spaz. Excuse my language, but he acts like a fucking spaz.
I don't get it, man. I really, really don't. But I'm curious to see what he does with the Ring of Honor brand, because he can't do it all by himself. That's why I'm kind of glad they brought in William Regal, because I think that he's going to be a tremendous help. I hope he's taking notes. He's got a pen, pad, taking as many notes as he can, because he can learn a lot from a guy like a William Regal, because I think he could ultimately help him with the Ring of Honor brand, because it's going to be tough trying to run both of those companies all by himself. He can't do that by himself. He's going to need some help.
Eloquently said, Chris, because it's like, this dude's going to have a stroke. You're booking Rampage, you're booking Dark, you're booking Elevation, you're booking Dynamite, and now you've just bought Ring of Honor, you're going to book Ring of Honor. Like, Tony, you got your eggs in a lot of baskets here. You can't do all this.
I appreciate the ambition and him wanting to do stuff, but he's definitely going to have to bring in some people to kind of help him. Have some people that help with Dynamite and Rampage and all the AEW stuff, and have some people that work on the Ring of Honor. You can still, go back and forth, but you can't try to do both by yourself. You can't run two big wrestling companies like that solely by yourself without some assistance.
First of all, I'm going to say this right now. He has spent, a lot of money, 30 to 40 million on Ring of Honor.
He's got bread. The Khan's got money, dude.
I know, but at the same time, Chris, I understand it, and you're keeping the promotion alive. But I'm like, you're spending 30 to 40 million dollars.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, dude.
Oh, but again,
a lot of money.
He's spending all this money, and that's why I say with the Lost in the Shuffle, it's great to see these talents sign. I want to see these talents have work and continue to thrive and strive. But it's like, where are you going to put these people? And then the Ring of Honor comes into fruition. You got Punk, which we saw. We'll get to Revolution in a minute, but we saw Punk with his entrance. We got Danielson. And like you mentioned with Regal, you have a mind like William Regal, who's been in the game. He's been wrestling since he's been 15 years of age, right? He would great. And what do you think about this whole contrast with him, Moxley, and Danielson? Because it makes sense. The feud, remember his FCW feud with Moxley and WWE? Brian Danielson. What do you think about them bringing together the tag team, man?
That's just got money written all over it. You got Moxley, you got Bryan Danielson working together as a team with Regal as like kind of managing them, being like the voice piece for them. I mean, it writes itself. That writes itself. I like it. It's going to be good. I could see them being tag team champions at some point. I'm all for that. That promo he cut this week, chef's kiss, man. Good stuff.
And well, that's the thing too. Like, if you need someone to, deliver a great promo, it's William Regal. But also at the same time, it's like, remember when WCW or in late WWE in like 2006, they brought back the Blue Bloods, William Regal and Dave Taylor. Moxley's like the Dave Taylor, but Dave Taylor never did a death match in his life. But I mean, you can see that with his grit and his determination and the physicality, he could be like a Dave Taylor, and Bryan Danielson is the William Regal. So it's like another rendition of the Blue Bloods.
Absolutely. I'm all for it, man. I think they're going to do some good stuff together. Definitely.
And I mean, with Revolution as well, just again, bouncing around here, CM Punk's entrance, what'd you think about AFI coming back? 2003 CM Punk, when he was going against Raven, we talked about this, the dog collar match. And I
went back and watched that. Like I said, I hadn't seen a lot of his Ring of Honor work. I actually want to go back and watch it. I did watch that dog collar match. And I wasn't familiar with that thing, so I had to look that up as well. But just once I did and kind of got the backstory of that, it gave me chills, man. I watched that so many times on Sunday. I played it again. I said, man, this is good. Stuff like that, it just makes you feel something as a fan to see something that means that much to him and just making that entrance and going back to his roots, going back to his Ring of Honor with the gear and the music. It was good TV. I loved it, man.
It's one of the best stories in AEW is CM Punk.
Oh, absolutely. That feud, him and MJF, they've been killing it, man. Every week I'm tuned in, man. I'm watching. It's good TV. Good TV, man.
What's cool about it too is, Chris, it's like this is like who he grew up with, and this is CM Punk like when he was with Colt Cabana as the tag champs. This is not Cult of Personality when he's leaving Ring of Honor and he's cutting the pride promo in Ring of Honor. This is old school CM Punk, what MJF grew up on, and it's like, all right, you want to meet your heroes? I'm going to meet your heroes. And he cut the exact same promo on Rampage where he's talking about the monsters that he did in 03 in Ring of Honor. So there was a nice tie-in and coincides to him and what MJF grew up on. It made sense from start to finish.
It really, really did. Like I said, I went back and watched that as well. I was like, wow. I mean, it's just good storytelling. When you get two people together like that and you tie everything in, and it's just good stuff, man. You don't see a lot of stuff like that today, man. You don't see really good storytelling like that. And going back to, just good stuff, man. Good stuff.
I think with a lot of people with storytelling, they need to give a lot of stuff to chance. And I always use it as an example. When Bray Wyatt debuted with the Firefly Funhouse before the Fiend transformation, everybody's like, oh, God, what do they do with Bray Wyatt? But you let it go, and it makes sense because he's righting the wrongs and rewriting history of the people that have wronged him. Hence John Cena, Randy Orton, Finn Balor, people that he's faced before. It made sense. Now, mind you, a lot of people poo-pooed on the Alexa Bliss, Randy Orton, and Bray Wyatt stuff. But I'm like, he's possessed her. It makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It ties into everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you want the voodoo and the hoodoo, we got that. I mean, we have Papa Shango back in the days. You have the Undertaker with the Ministry of Darkness. It makes it's not like we haven't seen this before. So, mind you, the WrestleMania match was not the best, but at the same time, it all went hand in hand, so to speak.
It really did. I enjoyed the stuff that they did. I thought it showed a different side of Alexa. I mean, she's shown such great character since she's been on the main roster. From what we saw her in NXT to what we've seen her do on the main roster, it's just like, who knew? Like, who didn't know she had this type of potential? Who knew?
Well, that's when people will talk about, oh, we want the goddess back. I'm like, no, I'm okay with this. Like, we can make something out of this, and people pop for it. Like, when she came back in Saudi Arabia and everything, people popped because people want to see more of Alexa Bliss.
They do, because she's a great talent. She's a very, very good talent. She's good. Whatever role they give her in, she's good at.
All right, Mr. NXT, I'm going to say this because we both saw her when she was doing the Sparkle Splash and coming out with the blue and the tutu. Would you think that girl, and then, well, here's the thing, it started in NXT for us because when she was managing Blake and Murphy, we're like, where the hell did this come from? Like, this badass heel, like, where did that come from?
Like, where? Like, why weren't you doing this sooner?
I mean, the sparkle and the glitz and all that was cute, but it's like, where did this badass heel, like, I don't give a crap, I'm small type of heel came out? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, dude. I beats me, man. She was holding out on us. She was holding out on us.
And it worked. And it's like, I look at Stansford like that. I mean, like, here's how people start. Like, look at, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable and their American Alpha, right? They came up to the roster in 2016. Friggin' Jason Jordan was used like morally in NXT, like an enhancement talent. You know what I'm saying? Like, to put over the up-and-coming stars. Then you had his tag team partner, Mike Dalton. You know who Mike Dalton would go on to be?
Who?
Tyler Breeze.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's right. Tyler Breeze.
He started off as a preliminary talent, as a, enhancement talent.
Yeah.
Right. And then they're like, okay, he's probably going to be on the chopping block. And he comes up with Tyler Breeze, and it's over. He's got the selfie stick, the freeze angle. It worked because
it worked.
It worked.
It worked, man. You just never know with stuff like that. You just give people a chance. You just never know.
And that's the thing. And also, it's very popular because of the day and age of social media with the selfie sticks and everything. So it fits with the times.
It does. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Now, speaking of the times, we're going to talk about this because you and I always laugh about this. We're going to talk about a little CYN here. We're going to talk about Control Your Narrative. And
oh, God. Here we go.
And the TV deal on Pro Wrestling TV, which is a streaming service that's going to come out in April. Yeah. So they signed Killer Cross. They signed Redbeard. They signed Big Damo, Killian Dane. Obviously, we got EC3 there. We got Braun Strowman. Austin Aries. Yeah, you had me until we got to Austin Aries. Again, he's an amazing wrestler. And I know the RVE is probably going to, and the RVE, Raven Effect, is probably going to thumbs down give us a thumbs down on this. I like him as a professional wrestler. I've seen him since Ring of Honor when him and Roger were Generation Next, and they were killing it at Ring of Honor. The Austin Stars, him and TNA, the All Runs, the whole nine. But as a human being, He's
an awful human being.
Garbage. Okay.
Yeah.
Garbage. That is my problem with it, okay? And I think what they're going to try to do, like we talk about this rant room, in today's day and age and what we have with Twitter and all these social medias, you think that's really a good idea for fans to cut a promo on the wrestler?
I don't think so. Like I told you, if this was back in the day,
right?
You could have some fun with something like that. That would be really fun. You get to interact with your favorite superstar, somebody you might not be crazy with, cut a little promo on it. It would be fun. Yeah. But now, with the way fans are today, that's you're gonna have riots on your hands. It's gonna be ugly. Trust me. That's not gonna work.
Well, now MJF at his signings will call like kids like a piece of crap, and he'll curse like he does. He's true to his.
I've seen that. Yeah.
But it's different. It's more like
absolutely.
It's not to the level of what we have here because
these guys in character.
Right. Right. But these guys just want to go balls to the wall and they want to change the world. And I'm like, this isn't going to work in today's day and age.
No. Not at all.
I used the primary example of, and mind you, here's another piece of garbage human being, Joe Francis, who is the man behind Girls Gone Wild. Back in 2003, we would see it on Raw. We would see the commercials. And we would see, like, they had Test and I think Nydia and Tori Wilson go over to a Girls Gone Wild pay-per-view. That was 2003. 2022, if somebody saw that, they'd be like, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work now.
It doesn't work now. Times are different. Much different.
And mind you, I'm all for freedom of speech, and this is not us saying that people can't speak their minds, but at the same time, it's like, it just, your premise, I understand where you want to come from. You don't want to be corporate, but also at the same time, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I totally get it. Totally get it.
And I wish them well, but also they made it out like it was some big TV deal. Like, we got a big TV deal. And then you hear it's pro wrestling TV and you're on a streaming service and it's like, okay.
That's how I was feeling too, because they were hyping it up like they were on one of these big major networks. I was expecting them to be on like, a network that people that actually know and can, get over their cable or whatever streaming service that they have. But I'm like, why? Like, I've never heard of this before.
Apparently it's new. It's new. It's coming out next month.
You haven't even tested. You know how good it is. How you don't even know why.
And I mean, we talked about this with the Pursuit channel with Impact. They were on the friggin' Outdoor Network. They were the only wrestling show on an outdoor network. And mind you, Anthem owned it. But I don't see that as a bad thing now, looking back in hindsight, because it was a stopgap before Access TV. Because remember, not too long after that, they were on Access TV.
Access TV, yep.
So, I mean, they're doing fine. And I think what we have coming up, they got Rebellion, they got Moose and Josh Alexander's back, the whole nine. That's going to be really good. You got the Iconics, who are now the Inspiration. We'll talk about rejuvenation, man. My God, they're doing their thing in Impact.
They definitely are. I am happy for them. I've always been a fan of them. I just thought those two just worked well together. And when WWE split them up, I just thought that was just a bad move. It really didn't have anything for them. I mean, Billie Kay, she was kind of doing stuff with trying to join the Riot Squad and everything. She was kind of funny on SmackDown, but Casey, she wasn't doing anything at all. I'm like, why? They kind of teamed them up with Lacey, and then they did a couple other things, and nothing. I'm like, what are you doing?
She cut that promo on Raw, on the After All. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I remember. Yes, I remember that. Yes,
she cut this amazing promo how she was ready for Asuka, and they didn't even do a damn thing with it.
That tells you everything you need to know right there.
I think they had a match and she got squashed. And I'm like, you have someone who can talk. She wants to work. She can be a great heel.
Mm-hmm. And you just throw her to Asuka, and then that's
it. And here's the thing, too. Billie Kay is hilarious. Jessie McDuffie.
Yeah, she got a good sense of humor, good personality.
And it works. And what they're doing now, I believe they're no longer the tag champs. It's now the Influence, Madison Rayne and
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They bounce and gel off each other because, number one, Tenille Dashwood's also Australian. So, I mean, she comes from that time in NXT.
Yes, I've met her before. Very nice.
Sweetheart, right?
Yeah, very, very sweet. Very sweet.
You got some people you're coming up to meet too, right, man? Aren't you going to some more conventions and more shows here?
Yeah, coming up in May on the 15th, I will be meeting Rosemary, the Hardy Boys. Sting's going to be there. Tony Storm. They're still announcing people. They announced Mr. Kennedy. He's going to be there today in May. So it's going to be some good people. And I'm excited for my boy, my friend Eric that I work with. He's coming. It's going to be his first convention. So I'm more excited for him than anything else. He gets to go to one of these things and kind of interact and meet some of the wrestlers and everything. And it's going to be a MCW, Maryland Championship Wrestling. So after the convention, they're going to have a show there. So good stuff coming up in May.
So you're like that with me, man. Like I in the Northeast, we had like the NYWCs, which Cardona just won the NYWC championship.
Oh yeah, you got another belt for him.
Oh, first of all, rejuvenated. Cardona has been on fire since he left the WWE, man.
He is, of all the people that have been released. Somebody was bringing it up in one of the groups. They were saying like, who of all the people that have been released like in the last couple of years, who's made the best impact? And I'm saying it's like Cardona, and it's not even close. What he's done since he's been released.
Well, you have to understand, like as a kid, like I mentioned NYWC there, he was in a tag team with Brian Myers. They were Myers and Matthews. So he was Brett Matthews, Mark Cardona, right? They came out to the Backstreet Boys. This was also around the same time when Trent Beretta was Plasma, and you had Maverick, who would go on to be Tony Nese. But the all-star lineup that they had there, and they came from that, and then he goes back to his roots, and he wins the NYWC championship. Like, that's awesome for Cardona.
Oh, it is. I'm telling you, he's come a long, long way, and I'm happy for him. I always thought he was a good talent, but he's exceeded my expectations. So I'm happy for him. Good for him.
Well, he's the digital champ over there in Impact. Is the NWA champ now. Which, by the way, how great was his match with him and Murdoch?
Oh, that was a good match. I watched it. That was a very good match with those two. Very good match.
I think what a lot of people actually forget is like the dude can wrestle. Like I noticed it when he started doing the woo woo gimmick. Remember, he was on ECW. He had a main event match with Christian for the ECW championship, and that was Christian's role to help put over the young talent and work with the young talent. They had a great match, and he was the woo guy. He was the funny guy, but he worked with him and Christian at gelled.
It definitely did. He's definitely a very solid, very underrated worker. I think people, they don't give him enough credit for that. He can work. He can.
Now, were you excited for Myers and Cardona against the Hardy Boys, the Impact players? Now, the new Impact players, the major players.
Hey, that's gonna be good. Hey, I think that's gonna be good. I think that's gonna be some good stuff. I think that's some good matches.
How crazy is it that during their tenure in WWE, they never wrestled each other? I mean, they could have had an opportunity to. They never wrestled each other.
That's insane when you think about that. That's just wild that they never got that opportunity.
Oh, look at Enzo and Cass. They're going to be fighting them at Crosby High School for Northeast Wrestling. I got to ask you, Enzo and Cass coming back together. Now, they did have that moment at WrestleMania 31 when the Hardys came back in 2017. What do you think about them going against Enzo and Cass?
That's going to be good, too. Look, I always liked them as a team because when they were in NXT, when that music hit, when they came out, those guys were over. They kind of reminded me of the New Age Outlaws a little bit. They kind of had that same type of connection with the crowd, and Enzo coming out doing his thing, kind of being like the road dog. I always liked them as a team. They just worked because they were just over. The fans liked them. They had, they were catching. They weren't bad. They worked well together. So I'm looking forward to that.
So for me, like, first of all, Enzo is like Jack now. Jesus, you saw that photo.
I saw him. I'm like, wow. Oh my God.
Where was this Enzo? He was in WWE, right?
Exactly. Yeah, he's like ripped.
And I mean, Cass has gone through his demons, which I'm very happy to see that he's in a good place now.
He's in a good place. Yeah, me too, man.
For me, I think it's going to be really good because Cass has been. If nobody has seen W. Morrissey, Big Cass and Impact, holy hell, because the man has been killing it.
He has been. Yeah, I haven't watched Impact much lately, but when I did, he was very impressive. Very impressive.
And that's the thing. When you get your demons right, you get yourself in check.
Get yourself together. Absolutely. Right. Anything is possible. True. Absolutely, man.
Now, for the Hardys as well, the other indies, they're going to be wrestling either the winner of the Briscoes or the SATs, who's a great tag team, Jose and Joel Maximo. Been on the indies for years and great talents. Yeah. I'm thinking Briscoes are going to win, and we're going to finally get Hardys and Briscoes.
I think so. And also, too, when they come to MCW, they're wrestling OGK. They're wrestling them.
Okay, so you signed me up. Now give me some OGK. All right, I like your style. I like it.
That's gonna be good too. So yeah, they got a lot of good matches and stuff coming up here. So I'm happy for them.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that final run on the indies because first and
foremost,
do you even see like the Hardys wrestling anymore with all the bumps that they've taken? I don't see them going for like another like X amount of years. I mean, if this is going to be their farewell tour, it's a farewell tour, right?
That's what I'm thinking too. They're gonna have one last run, like I say, on the indies, and of course they obviously AEW now. But this is gonna be probably it for them, I think.
Now
they'll probably still make appearances and stuff. They probably come to conventions and stuff like that. But hey, this is one last big run for them, I think.
Right now, I'm gonna say it because we got to talk about this. Nothing says a debut in a company like dancing down the ring while your brother's getting his butt kicked. What'd you think? He goes out. They have the Hardy Boys music, and Jeff's just like, "Oh, I gotta run to the ring."
Everybody's been crap. cracking up about that. I've seen so many memes and videos. It's great, man. Like your brother's getting attacked and beat up. You gotta do your thing.
Yes.
Good stuff. I love it, man.
Now I'm gonna say, all right, I'm gonna say 8-man tag here. Jeff, Matt, Sting, and Darby Allin against Andrade's team. It could be what's your Blade Private Party? What do you think?
Hey, that's gonna be good. That's gonna be some good tag team action right there. I may sign me up for that, man.
Now Sting is out of his mind because going back to Revolution, that friggin' spot. A lot of people said it reminded him of New Jack jumping off the jumping up on the.
Oh yeah.
But 62 years old, putting him through the table like that. Jeez Louise, poor Andre.
That's crazy. Even when I went to Dynamite, he did a dive off the stage. So I'm like, he's 62 years old and still. When we thought he was done after the whole match with Seth Rollins, we think, oh, he's done, he's retired, he's not gonna wrestle again. He's still out there performing. At 62 years old, it's mind-boggling, man. It really, really is.
It is, but at the same time, I'm like, well, he's been doing like dives like that for years. If you see the TNA run, like it's not like
he has.
Now, all right, we're gonna talk about this here, man, because you got to experience Dynamite Live. How was that for you?
That was fun. I was at the very first one when they first had it in 2019, but getting to go back in January, it was fun getting to see Sting live for the first time, getting to see CM Punk. It was seeing some of the pre-show matches. They used some of the local MCW talent for some of the dark tapings. It was a very good experience. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't get to go to Rampage, but I just went to the Dynamite show. But it was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I was worried because the venue that they have it in is a little smaller than Capital One Arena. So I was wondering how it would come off on TV. But it worked. It definitely worked. I thoroughly had a good time. And hopefully they come back again for Dynamite and Rampage.
Now, unfortunately, this was the show, and Chris and I were talking about it. This was the show where the guy yelled out at Jon Moxley, and pretty much Moxley told him to go F himself. First and foremost, the guy's coming back again from being his addictions, really just helping him, controlling his demons. You don't need to yell obscenities at the man and make fun of him for getting himself back in check.
No, you really don't. And it's funny. I saw somebody at work who was actually at the show, and he said that guy was in the same section he was at too, and we were telling the same thing. Like, you don't do that. This man has just come back and everything. He's getting himself together, got the help that he needed, and then you're gonna yell something like that? Like, that's unacceptable on so many levels.
And I'm speaking as someone himself who has gone through his demons for the last year and a half. I can say specifically, you don't do that to a person, number one. And
no, you don't.
And number two, I also look at it from a stance too, and this is something that I'm a big believer in. I think you can agree. Sometimes we lose the essence of ourselves, and it's up to us to find our way back. And he found his way back.
He did. He did. And it was good. I'm telling you, he was definitely over that night. The crowd definitely responded. That was a good moment, good promo. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It really reignited his passion and his vigor. And I've got to say, he's been killing it ever since. Like the match with Bryan Danielson at Revolution was good. They told a great story. And now, like we mentioned, the tag team. But he's in a place where it's just like the work ethic's there and he's ready to fucking rip ass.
Absolutely. He's being the character that I always thought he could have been in WWE, because we just saw more of the goofy stuff when he was Dean Ambrose. But now he's being that more serious character. This is the character that I always knew he had the potential to be. So I'm happy for him. I always liked him, Moxley or Ambrose, whatever you want to call him.
And the thing is, he can wrestle. Like when you're training at Heartland Wrestling Association in Ohio with a guy like Les Thatcher, like you have that ability. You know what I'm saying? Sami Callihan also, I believe, wrestled there as well and trained with Les Thatcher, and tag team partner of Moxley. But man, it's one of those things too as well, where a lot of people just have that one stigma, how all kind of like associated with like the deathmatch style. It's like, no, these guys can switch it up a little bit,
They can brawl. They can actually go out there and perform. There's not just one style of wrestling that they know how to do.
Now, mind you and I are not the big deathmatch fans. I mean, every time we see freaking Game Changer Wrestling and Nick Gage, we're like, no, that's okay, good.
Look, to each their own. If you like that style of wrestling, cool. But that's just, I like the hardcore stuff, but that deathmatch stuff is just too much for me. No, that's not wrestling to me.
No, and that's my problem. Like, but Mick Foley. Okay, here's the thing: when Mick Foley did it, he was telling the story, but he wouldn't go like that far, mind you, thumbtacks and what have you.
Yeah, hardcore stuff. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I have no issues with that. But some of the more extreme stuff that you're seeing in some of these death matches, no.
And I know Well, I know people are going to say, well, he did the Japanese death matches and for FMW in Japan, but I'm like, okay, here's the difference. Mick Foley is a big ass dude and he has a lot of weight to support him. These are like skinny ass dudes that just want to take bumps for taking the sake of bumps.
Exactly. That are not made to be taking their body, putting their body through some of that stuff. No.
That's why when Chris Jericho did it on AEW, I'm like, Chris, what are you doing? You don't need to be doing this, Chris.
No, at this point of your career, like, what are you doing? Why are you in there with Nick Gage? Like, why?
And the problem, well, first of all, the Dominoes thing was hilarious. I'm sorry, that will still make
that was funny. That was funny. That was pretty funny. I must admit, that was funny.
But yeah, you know what it is to me with that, watching Jericho and Nick Gage? I know people are going to say, oh, it's the first ever death match on TNT. Probably going to be the last death match on TNT. But, like, I don't see anybody, like, remembering this in, like, 10 years. You know what I'm saying? It would be like when Meltzer okay, I'm going to mention Meltzer, and I hate Meltzer. Fucking Meltzer with his, like, star ratings on that, and I'm like, dude, nobody's going to remember this in 10, 20 years. It's like when he compared CM Punk and Eddie Kingston with, like, it's like with Hulk Hogan and The Rock, and people started booing The Rock, and they cheered Hulk Hogan. They were booing CM Punk. They're cheering Eddie Kingston. That is nowhere near.
No, not even on the same level. No. Just no, dude. No.
And you know why it was a problem for me, Chris? Because when I'll talk about this is one of the downtrods of AEW for me. It was like a 3-week feud. They built it for like, okay, he's going to say bad shit. Then we're going to have like a brawl here. And then here's the match. It was like a 3-week feud. Like, come on.
Yeah, it was. It was a waste of time. A total waste of time.
And I'm going to say this because here's another one we were talking about, Lost in the Shuffle. This is not everything to bash AEW because I do enjoy like a lot on AEW. But
I do too.
But here's the trinkets. Lance Archer, who we've not seen in forever, comes out of nowhere and attacks Adam Hangman Page. They have a couple brawls, and like a couple weeks later, Texas death match. Loser leaves town, to quote Vader on Boy Meets World. They have a Texas death match that means jack shit. They take a shot at Shane McMahon by throwing him into the glass because Shane McMahon had just gotten fired from the Royal Rumble. They have a bloody match that makes no rhyme, no reason. Like, why are we having this just to have a Texas death match? It made no sense.
No, it really didn't. It was totally unnecessary. No. Just no.
Speaking of that, because I did the Loser Leaves Town, Boy Meets World, the father of Frankie Stechino, which, again, pop culture. You know I'm already smiling about it, Chris.
Oh, yeah, man.
Vader in the Hall of Fame. Thoughts?
Long overdue, man. Just wish they could have did it when he was alive, man. That's the only thing that I wish that they could have done, that he could have been able to be there and be able to make a speech and everything. But I mean, body of work. I mean, he's one of the great big men of all time. So definitely well deserved. Just wish he could have been here for it. That's the only knock on it, I would say.
I mean, I don't know the shape he was in when they wanted to try him early. I mean, if he was in his hospital bed, I mean,
yeah, because I know he was having some health issues.
Right.
Health issues there for a while. Yeah.
And I mean, we get to see his son, who was also in NXT. We can see Jake Carter, the former tag partner of Corey Graves. He gets to induct his father, which is going to be nice.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Well, I'm saying, like, everybody's like, well, who's going to induct him? I'm like, his family? Like, why can't you have...
Yeah, of course. That's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. Like, why are we asking? Oh, maybe he could be like Mick Foley. No, his family.
It's his family. Absolutely, man.
There should not be a discussion of who's going to...
That's a no-brainer right there, man.
God, people. But no, I mean, with the feuds with Mick Foley, the Stan Hansen in Japan where he got his eye knocked out and the whole nine, he's had so many great feuds. The matches with Shawn Michaels in the WWF. Like, he did some great work. And for me, when it comes to Vader, like when he came back, and I'm going to say this, the one time I laughed as a kid. Remember when he came back in 2005?
I do.
And he fell coming out of the ring, and I felt bad, and I laughed. I'm like, poor Vader. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you felt bad. You felt bad for him in that moment.
And he just like signed the Legends contract, and it's him, Batista, and the coach and Goldust. Oh, what a time, right?
Yeah, what a time, man. What a time.
Oh my goodness! And I mean, wasn't it great to see him back? Because remember, he did the Legends deal with Heath Slater, like in like 2012. Remember that whole thing?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's right. I remember that too. That's right. He did.
Vader. But no, that's another great inductee. So we have the Undertaker, we got Vader, and the rumored is the Steiner brothers, which
I heard that too.
If Scott Steiner's back on WWE in 2022, sign me up. All right.
Yes.
Especially with everything that's going on with his nephew, Braun Breaker. And I mean, Braun has teased the Steiner math and all that. How do you not get a Scott Steiner sighting?
You have to, dude. It's a must at this point. You have to.
Now, speaking of NXT, Dolph Ziggler's the new NXT champion. Everybody was upset that Dolph Ziggler won the NXT champion. Now, Mandy Rose pointed out well. She started the trend. Mandy Rose was on Raw with Dana Brooke doing nothing. I think the last, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the last storyline that they did, it was Mandy and Dana. They were going to go against Natalya and Tamina. They were all about the looks. They were about the wrestling. And it, like, went nowhere. Then all of a sudden, Mandy's on NXT, and she's with JC and Gigi. And, like, all right, let me see where this goes. And then Toxic Attraction, and she reinvented herself. The black hair, my God. It's one of the hottest things on NXT right now.
It really is. Because when she came down there, we had no clue what she was. I'm thinking she's gonna be. Oh, maybe she's gonna be like a manager for them. Okay, that's cool, no problem. That gives her something different. It gives her something to do. And then this whole Toxic Attraction group forms, and the hair change, and she's the champion. No one saw that coming.
No, and
she's totally reinvented her career, and I love it. I love it. I really, really do.
She has worked her butt off since Tough Enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
she has worked
absolutely. Absolutely.
And when you're one of, and it's supposed to be comedy, but when you're in one of the pivotal matches at WrestleMania in 2020, she got that feud over with Otis great. They made a great couple, and it worked. You wanted to
I liked it. It was good TV, man. It was great.
You wanted to see the lovable loser and Otis get the girl, and he got the girl. And
you did.
Made for a great story. And she's on NXT now, reinvented herself, and she looks great. And here's the thing. People are like, well, you know what? With Vince in there, because you know how it is when the NXT stars go to the main roster, who's going to get ruined and all that. But I'm like, you don't think that they're not going to bring them back up as Toxic Attraction?
Oh, you know that. Why wouldn't you?
That's the thing, and I think like we talk about it becoming like it's not the third brand anymore; it's developmental. And here's where the Wednesday Night Wars is bogus. They are fighting over the same fan base. The same fan base that watches NXT is the same fan base that watches AEW. And what I would always say is, have AEW go head to head with Raw. Have AEW go head to head with SmackDown. It'd be a different story.
There'd be no comparison. None.
Would be like when TNA went to Monday nights in 2010. And how long did that last?
Not very long.
Not very long. And also, well, I always thought like they were like dead at the start, because here's my thing. You're going against the January 4th edition of Raw in 2010, the same show where Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart are on the same show, and Vince McMahon, and they're all reconciling, which would lead to Bret and Vince at WrestleMania that year. Like, how can you compete with that?
You're not going to compete with that. You can't. No matter what you do, you can't.
You had Ric Flair, and you had Jeff Hardy, and you had Kurt Angle, and you had AJ Styles. Love them, but you can't compete with Shawn and Bret.
No, you can't. That goes back. We all know the history with that. So no, you're not competing with that.
And mind you, like, as the biggest TNA fan, like, I started watching TNA in 2004, now Impact Wrestling, and the same with Ring of Honor. Like, I've been watching since 2005. It's one of those things, man, just to see, like, companies like that, mind you, the Rejuvenation, Cortisol, kind of sort of, let's see what they do at Ring of Honor. But Impact Wrestling has had its ups and downs, and it's one of the hottest products there right now, right?
It definitely is. And it's been so many times when we thought that they were going to be, like, down and out. Oh, they were going to fold. They were going to, go out of business. And here they are, 2022. They're still as good as ever. It's actually, it's a lot of good talent over there. They're still around, still going strong. Because everybody did not expect that. Everybody figured that they were, like, finished. But they're like the little engine that could, man. Keep on trucking along, man.
Right. Do the old friggin' Eddie Kendricks, man, of friggin' Temptations. Keep on trucking. Yep.
Keep on trucking. Then that's the impact for you, man.
Dude, well, the thing, too, is, like, going back to Ziggler for a second, here's why I didn't have an issue of it. You don't think that they're going to – okay, so here's what they've been doing. They've been having people like Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa go to Raw. They had Grayson Waller. AJ Styles, who admitted he wanted to work in NXT, and he did. And him and Grayson Waller had a great match. You had – want to go there possibly. They teased him challenging for that. You had Charlotte Flair go back to face Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship at WrestleMania, which was a big deal because you wouldn't think that they would pick the NXT Women's Championship.
No.
They're making it into that position, and Dolph Ziggler against Braun Breaker is going to be a good match, number one. And number two, he didn't get pinned. So he didn't get pinned. Ciampa got pinned. So it leads to the rematch with Dolph and Braun Breaker. Okay, and I mind you, he may be getting called up, which I think he is going to get called up to the main roster.
I think I did hear that too. Yeah.
Right, but you can also intertwine them going to different shows, like they did with AJ and Grayson Waller, like they're doing now. Hell, with what they got going on, was it Solo Sikoa, right? That's the Usos.
Usos, brother, yeah, Solo Sikoa, yeah.
Thank you. You could have the Usos come down to NXT and it could be a 6-man with Imperium. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they could do. Like, back in the day, you had Cesaro come down. You had Jinder Mahal come down. You had the Usos fight the Ascension, who were the tag champs at the time, one of the big tag champs on NXT. I mean, mind you, he lived there and was a trans at the time. You had Scotty 2 Hotty and Grandmaster Sexay, God rest his soul, against the Ascension for the tag titles on the takeover.
I remember that.
Stuff like that. Yep. You could do stuff like that.
You can, like, it's like they're going back to their roots. This is nothing
new.
New. We've seen this before with the NXT brand. Because I was very skeptical too. I was saying, the black and gold, you don't need to change. I don't know what they're doing here. And it was a little rough there in the beginning, but then now they seem to kind of finding their footing. You're kind of seeing things develop. You're seeing what they're ultimately trying to do with the brand. And I'm enjoying the shows because there's a lot of good stuff going on down there. And as far as Dolph, look, I had no problem with him winning that title. I was surprised. I didn't think they were going to go that route, but I have no problem with him winning that title because he's a guy that can work. He can help a lot of the young talent down there. He wasn't doing a whole lot on the main roster. Right. So why not bring him down there and just have him kind of, help get some of these guys over. He's a great worker. He can bump. He can sell. He can be a face. He can be a heel. He can be whatever you need him to be. But people are just thinking like, oh, he's supposed to be building, new stars. And why are you putting the title on Dolph? You're not looking at the big picture here.
That's the issue. They don't look at the big picture. But the thing, too, is it's like, oh, he was a world champion. Okay. You don't think that still will go down as one of the greatest Money in the Bank cash-ins ever when he cashed in?
Easily.
And it's like, oh, well, he was the sole survivor in 2014. He's had big moments, but look at where he started. He's been with WWE since 2005. He was a caddy for Chavo Guerrero, who was Kerwin White at the time, who was a Hispanic male pretending to be a rich, snobby white guy. He was a caddy for Chavo Guerrero. Then he was a male cheerleader the next year. He has come a long way.
He's gone a long way. He's definitely paid his dues.
And mind you, but he's been jobbing and losing a lot. They're on TV. The Dirty Dogs are on TV. I don't think Dolph Ziggler's going to complain if he wins or loses. He's on TV.
No, you're getting TV time. That's what all that matters at the end of the day. You're on TV.
It's like with Dr. Tom Pritchard, who now has a school in Tennessee with Kane, and I know they trained Kenzie Page, I believe, who was on AEW.
Oh yeah, I like her.
So Dr. Tom Pritchard, they showed one of the OVW seminars that they did on Confidential years ago, right? And he's like, no matter how long you are on TV, whether it be promo matches, you make the most of your time. You make the most of your time.
That's what you do. You make the most of it because a lot of people are not getting that TV time. So when you get that TV time, you have to make the most of it.
Right. And I mean, there's so many people that should be getting that TV time, but I mean, it's one of those things where, like, when Zack Ryder was like not getting anything, right? Like in 2011, he was the joke and everybody wanted to see it. He had the Z2 Long Island Story. When he wrestled Michael Cole, and which was a comedy match, it was horrible, but they wanted to see more of Zack Ryder. The push for him to finally win the championship. When he won the U.S. title against Dolph Ziggler at TLC 2011, people conclude
that was a big moment.
Now, mind you, what happened afterward? But they wanted Zack Ryder to
get that moment counted.
Yes, that moment. Like, he had the moment at WrestleMania. So what? He was the Intercontinental Champion for a day. He got a WrestleMania moment.
Absolutely. Not many people can say they've had WrestleMania moments. So, hey.
Which, like, we've talked about with CM Punk. Like, mind you, the stuff that went down on both sides, no. But CM Punk did not have a terrible WWE career.
No, he did not. He back-to-back Money in the Banks. He won just about all the major titles. He had a very good run. He worked with just about every big name over there, from Taker to Cena to Triple H. The list goes on. His WWE run was not bad.
He wrestled The Rock. He wrestled The Rock when Rock was just coming back to do his stuff. He wrestled The Rock.
He did. I mean, he had a very good run over there. Things may not have ended the way that he wanted them to, but his run was not as bad as he may think it was.
Well, with him, I think he's a very free spirit, and he wants to do stuff on his own. Don't tell me what.
I get that. Yeah.
But also at the same time, it's like, don't complain that you haven't main evented a WrestleMania when there's a lot of people that haven't main evented a WrestleMania.
A lot of people. Oh, there's a long list of people. For all the people that have, there's a lot of people that have not main evented a WrestleMania.
Well, it was like when he was on his DVD complaining about, WrestleMania 27 with The Miz and John Cena. Okay, The Miz, people say what they will about The Miz, reality star. But The Miz did the indies. He was on UPW. You know what I'm saying? He did South. He was in developmental for WWE. The man has worked his butt off since 2006. He is like a Dolph Ziggler. He's worked his butt off from coming out with the friggin' fro, like the Jew fro. Not the fro. What is it? The mohawk. The faux hawk.
Mohawk. Yeah, the mohawk.
Thank you. I just confused the mohawk and the Jew fro. What the hell's wrong with me? Anyway, I digress. So he came and he's like, saying hoorah, and he comes off doing the $1 Million Tough Enough. But like, he worked his butt off since 2006, and he's one of the biggest stars in the industry.
He is. He's definitely earned my respect. He's definitely put in the work, and he's one of the best, without question about that.
And mind you, what you think about WrestleMania with him and Logan Paul. Now, am I the biggest Logan Paul fan? No, I'm not. I'm sorry. No, I don't like the Paul figures. But he has the following. He has the social media influence, so it gets eyes on the product. And that's why...
Absolutely. That's what it all is about at the end of the day, man.
Well, that's why you and I cringed, because it's like, oh, well, this card is not really that stacked. It's not really for the professional wrestling fan. Okay. Ronda Rousey, Johnny Knoxville, Logan Paul.
All names. These are names.
They're names. You want to appeal to the masses. You just don't want to appeal to
WrestleMania.
Right. You don't want to just appeal to the niche. You want to appeal.
No, you really don't. You want people to tune in because it's WrestleMania. You can't just cater to one, half of the fan base.
Right. And it's great to see Paige Van Zandt and AEW. I know she had wanted to do wrestling for years, and I think she's going to do well. But you have Ronda Rousey over here, masses. Paige Van Zandt, mind you, big star in the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, but she's not Ronda Rousey. Let's be real.
No, there's only one Ronda Rousey.
And people could say what they will about it, but Ronda Rousey draws. Like last year.
Oh, absolutely.
You and I remember this last year. You and I were having this conversation. I really don't know who Bad Bunny is, but let's see. He blew everybody away. He worked his butt off, and they're using him more and more and more. Now with Logan Paul, when he got stunned by Kevin Owens last year, he's like, wow, he started wheel. I go, yeah, this is some good shit. This is some serious shit. He's gonna put in the work. I can tell he's gonna put in the work. Let's see how Logan Paul does.
Let's see, yeah, because Bad Bunny, he definitely surprised me and surprised a lot of people, because I was like, who's this Bad Bunny? Who is this guy they're bringing in? Like, who is this guy? And he knocked it out the park. He exceeded my and everybody else's expectations, man. And I think Logan Paul, I think he's going to do the same thing too.
It's one of those things, man, where it's really going to be interesting to see how WrestleMania goes forward and onward. I mean, it's 2 nights, and I'm going to say ever since they moved it to 2 nights, it's better. And just watching a whole friggin' X amount.
It is.
Oh, it's better.
It really, really is. You're not watching this long, drawn-out thing where you're just worn out at the end. Splitting it up to I guess that's one of the good things of the whole pandemic era and everything. We get into 2 nights of WrestleMania. It works. That's a good thing.
So we're going to have more matches announced, because it is going to be at the end in a few weeks. I mean, I'm looking forward to Edge and AJ Styles.
Oh, yes. That's going to be good.
Dude, the promo on Raw, this Dark Side, it's going to be really good. Like, it's a dream match for everybody, Edge and AJ.
It really, really is. Edge, this Edge that we're getting right now, this is a more mature Edge. Being away for that time period, I think he had to kind of step back a little bit. And what he's been doing since he's been back has been amazing. He's been on it. He's still one of the best in the business, without question.
Oh, he is, man. And I mean, it's a good time to be professional wrestling. It's WrestleMania season, so everybody's going to go all out. And I mean, from indies to many shows into WrestleMania, it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be.
You love it. It's a great time to be a fan. Like I always tell people, it's a great time being a wrestling fan right now.
Now, one other topic we have to talk about before we do close this out.
Okay.
Cody Rhodes has left AEW, as we all know. There's talks like everything's fizzled out. What's he going to do? Everything's up in the air. We're in Jacksonville, Florida. Monday Night for Raw. Seth Rollins doesn't have an opponent. If you're going to bring Cody back for a high-profile match, Seth Rollins. I want to see Cody and Seth.
Yeah, I want to see that too. That's the perfect thing, because you can't have a WrestleMania without. I mean, you can have WrestleMania, but I think Seth Rollins has to be on there in some capacity. And what better way to do it than to have him on there with Cody? That's a great way to bring Cody in. It's a win-win either way. It works both ways.
And they have history. Cody and Goldust beat the shit up of the tag titles. That iconic image of Dusty Rhodes with his sons at Battleground. Like, there's history.
Yes, you can play off of that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So whatever Cody Rhodes does, I'm thinking, like I said, I think a lot of them is just like it's speculation. Everybody's working. They don't want to say anything, keep it close to ear. But if they do beat Seth, I'm all for it. I think
I'm all for that too. That'd be a very good match and a good way to bring Cody back to the company.
And lastly, what? Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kevin Owens, that promo.
Oh my God. Ooh. He still got it, man. He's still that rattlesnake, man. That was an excellent promo. Excellent promo.
It's interesting because he's like, it doesn't matter if it's a match. What? KO show? What? Austin's going to open up he's going to start opening up a can of whoop ass. What? Are we going to get a match? Are we going to get a KO show? What do you think is going to entail with this, man? It's going to be good nonetheless, but what do you think?
It's going to be good. I don't know if we're going to get a match. We're going to get some type of brawl confrontation between the two. It may start off as the KO show, but you're going to get some type of confrontation with the back and forth with them. It's whatever it is, it's going to be good. You got Kevin Owens, you got Stone Cold. It's going to be good, whatever they decide to do.
Like we mentioned, man, it's a good time to be a professional wrestling fan, whether you like WWE, AEW. Now, we picked apart a lot of stuff because there is a lot of stuff that are positive and negatives. There are some stuff on NXT, I will say, that is kind of – I'm going to say this right now. I just want to talk about her really quickly. Lash Legend, meh for me. Nikita Lyons, oh, yes. Lash Legend, meh. Nikita Lyons, oh, yes.
Yeah, Nikita Lyons, yes.
Now, besides the fact that, curves the word, spins the verb, Mr. Chris Durham, as Black
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes.
Now, do you remember WoW Women of Wrestling? Because she was actually on WoW Women of Wrestling as Faith the Lioness.
I remember, but for some reason, I don't remember her, though. I do remember WoW, but I don't remember her being on there, though.
She sang. She had that song, We Flex. She would come out with the dancers, and she would sing, We Flex, We Flex.
Oh, okay. I have to go back and watch. Because I was watching, but I don't remember her for some reason.
But yeah, no, I mean, there's some stuff on NXT 2.0 I will say that I'm kind of meh with. And what do you think about Andre? One other thing I'll mention, Andre Chase, and I'm going to say this right now. Oh God, what's his face? The one that was with Robbie E. Now. What's his face? The big guy.
Oh, Von Wagner.
Von Wagner.
Okay. I don't see it with him. I know he's another big guy, but I just don't see it. Even when he was doing the stuff with Kyle before Kyle left, I don't see it. And then Robert Stone, he was like the jokey guy on there. Now they're trying to make him more serious again. I don't buy it. I can't take him seriously. I'm sorry.
I don't have a problem with Robert Stone because I've seen Robbie E. wrestle when he was Rob Echoes on the indie scene.
Oh, yeah.
Great wrestler. He can talk. That's good because he can talk. What he's doing, he can talk. Von Wagner is gonna take a little bit more for me to get used to Von Wagner.
He doesn't do it for me, man. He really doesn't. He's just boring. He just I don't.
What they're doing. What I like about NXT is they're focusing on the future. Here's what we're going to do towards the future. But there are some things that need work, and that is one of them that need work. And I mean, we were talking about before, like how everything is just business with the Vince McMahon interview and how we showcased that stuff. Mm-hmm. For people that got released that were in their mid-30s, like Taya Valkyrie, I know was upset, but now she understands it. What people need to realize is they didn't do nothing wrong. This is just the direction that they want to go in. It's what it
is. And that's fine. It's their company, and if that's the direction they want to go, that's up to them. And with so many opportunities out there, there's so many opportunities out there. It's not the end of the road when it comes to WWE. There's, like I said, there's AEW, there's Impact, there's New Japan, there's NWA. There's a lot of great indie promotions out there. You can start a Twitch channel and do stuff there. People doing stuff for Twitch. Have a YouTube channel. There's so much stuff out there. So many opportunities out there. So if you get released from WWE, it's not the end of the world. You don't want to see people losing their jobs. But at the end of the day, it's a business. But there's opportunities. It doesn't mean just because you let go of WWE, that means that's the end for you. It's not.
There's so many options, and there is such a variety in today's age with the art.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
It's such a great time to see. And now I'm going to quote Boys to Men because you did. Although we've come to the end of the road.
There you go.
WWE and of this podcast. Now, guys, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Heelcast with my main man, the Money Maker Chris Durham. Before we close this out, and we do give you your plugs. We usually do a lot of plugs on here. The guys do their normal plugs with a lot of different podcasts that are fans of the show and that we work with. I'll give two personally of my own. Shout out to my girl, wrestling gal, Ella J, doing her thing, viewing a lot of people in professional wrestling podcasters, giving a touch spot on the female wrestling side of things and female wrestling in general. She does a lot of amazing work. Sassy Steffi, former professional wrestling with her podcast, Talkin' Sass. She's a former tag partner with Allison Kay and Jessica Havoc, the Midwest Militia and WSU. Two amazing people who I've gotten a chance to work with. Check out their shows and check out their podcast. And check out the Heelcast, _Heelcast on Twitter, on YouTube, Instagram. Well, not really Instagram, mainly Twitter and YouTube. I'm going through the plugs here. But Twitter and YouTube, check us out. Links will be in the description. And I'm just social media heavy up in this bitch. I digress. Chris, I'm going to shut up. Promote where we can find We Talk NXT to cash in what you're doing. You're doing a lot of great work, dude.
Thank you. Always. You can follow me on Twitter at Money Maker Chris, as well as Instagram, DC Sports Fan 23. Also, my other account at the Money Maker 315. My website, thecashinexperience.com. Everything is up there for the cash in podcast. Anything that I have going on is up on the website. We Talk Next podcast. Actually, I'm gonna be doing an episode this weekend with Keita. We recap NXT every week. It's part of the Keita and Jay show feed. So if you follow the Keita and Jay show, you'll find that show as well as We Talk NXT. So definitely check all that stuff out, man. I enjoy writing, I enjoy podcasting, I enjoy doing it all, man. And hopefully coming up soon, I'll be having an interview with Angelina Love. Still working on an actual date and time. So hopefully soon I'll be having that interview coming up with one half of the beautiful people, Angelina Love. That is coming up in the works, coming up real soon for you guys.
I'm so proud of him, man. He's really getting himself out here with the interviews, Chris. Like I said, I'm really proud of you, man. Like, really.
Thank you, man. Like I said, you inspired me, man. I owe it all to you, man.
Means a lot. And I got to say, I love what I do, and I love who I get to work with. And for those who have not checked out what else I get to do, lingeриefc.com for Lingerie Fighting Championships. We have another event coming up at the FSW Arena Las Vegas. It's LFC 36, Booty Camp 4. Your boy's back. I'm ring announcing again, Chris. It's going to be a good time. Come on, Dad.
Man. Happy for you, man. That's beautiful, man. Keep it up, man.
Guys, come on down if you're in the Las Vegas area. Future stars of wrestling, where towns such as Killer Cross and Eli Drake, now L.A. Knight, have come from. Chris Bay is doing his thing in Impact. We are going to set the house.
Man. He's there too, man.
Thank you.
Action. Lights, camera, faction.
I'm pissed at you for this. We're gonna talk about this. You had to ask him about lights, camera, action, Mr. Cheeks, man.
I know.
He blew it.
I blew it on that one. Yes, I blew it.
But who didn't blow it, man? We're going to talk about really quick pop culture. As I said, we're going a mile a minute here, and Chris's links will be in the description. This man didn't even get what's his face? Carmelo Hayes on friggin' NXT, but the Can We Talk? You totally missed.
No, like how did I miss that? I'm still mad at myself. Like, how did I miss that? Like, come on.
For those that don't know, Chris and I are huge fans of Tevin Campbell, R&B singer, amazing talent. I'm ready.
Oh, yeah.
Carmelo Hayes, who is younger than both of us, brought that up on NXT, and we popped huge.
Yes, we did. When I went back and saw it, I'm like, oh my God, that's so good. Like, yes.
And lastly, on the Carmelo Hayes front, guys, if you've not seen him absolutely murder, Max Caster on Twitter. So here's what happened. So Carmelo Hayes and Chuck Williams, they do like that, like the Acclaim does. So Max Caster, everybody loves the Acclaimed. And Carmelo Hayes goes, well, I didn't know that was your thing. I don't watch the YouTube show. And I'm like,
burn. Like, oh, that's so good. Oh my God.
I know people got pissed, but here's the thing. Carmelo Hayes is on NXT each and every Tuesday night on the USA Network.
And you guys are on YouTube.
On YouTube. And the Acclaimed is on Dynamite sometimes. They're mostly on Elevation and Dark. My goodness. But yeah, that's the professional wrestling world. Had to get that last part in. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff on Chris's end. A lot of stuff on my end. So guys, we hope you enjoyed this installment of the Heelcast. Chris, do you have any final words for the Heelcast fans and the people?
Man, it's great being here. Enjoy professional wrestling. There's a lot of good professional wrestling out there. I don't care what you like. Whether you like WWE, NWA, Impact, AEW. Just enjoy wrestling. There's a lot of good stuff out here. Enjoy wrestling, and don't shame wrestling fans. That's not a good thing. Enjoy wrestling for what it's worth.
I echo those sentiments. Life is an art form. Apply your craft. Succession, progression, no regression. My name is Mike Larkin. For Chris Durham. We'll see you in the next Heelcast. Bye, guys.
There you go. Peace out.